Hi friends, welcome to Cooking with Kayla. I'm Kayla, one of the registered dietitian nutritionists at San Antonio Regional Hospital. Today we're going to be making a delicious and nutritious meal that can be on the table in less than 45 minutes. We're making crunchy turkey casserole. It's a simple and delicious meal. It's going to be great before Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, any time of the year. So stick around and we'll get cooking. So we are ready to get cooking. The first ingredients we're going to use is our turkey. This is a great way to use up any leftover turkey from your Thanksgiving celebration, but I'm actually using chicken today. I got some rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. It's already cooked. You could have the thigh and the leg or the wing for another meal and use your reserved chicken or turkey for this recipe. We're going to need 2 cups. I cubed it up today, but you could shred it. You could also use canned chicken, works really well. Whatever you have on hand will do. So we're going to do 2 cups of our chicken or turkey into the bowl. Starting that crunchy turkey casserole. Next, we're going to be putting in 2 cups of frozen peas. Usually the peas are sold in like a 16-ounce bag, but if you can find a 10-ounce bag, that's perfect. It's going to be like 2 cups. Frozen vegetables are great because they're picked at the peak of freshness and it retains all of those nutrients. And peas are awesome because they're going to add a lot of great color to our dish. Peas are actually high in fiber and protein because they're actually a legume, which is a bean. So we're going to throw our peas in, even though they're counted as a starchy vegetable. So we got our peas into the bowl. Look at that color action going down. Next, we're going to add in our mushrooms. This is an 8-ounce package of mushrooms. You can save time by getting the pre-sliced mushrooms. Mushrooms are really high in vitamins and minerals, and they're going to add a great bit of flavor to our dish. They really just suck up all the flavor like a sponge. And if you don't like mushrooms, you could probably try olives or cooked cauliflower, cooked broccoli. Even your leftover Brussels sprouts would probably work great in this dish. Just be aware that the mushrooms do release some moisture when cooking, so it does add kind of like a sauce to our dish later on. So I'm going to give it a stir. Look at that color. Now we're going to add some deliciousness, some sharp cheddar cheese. I have half a cup shredded here. And try to get the sharp cheddar cheese because the sharpness is going to add extra flavor without having to add a whole bunch of cheese. So the cheese is going to get all melty and delicious for our dish. And we're just going to stir all of this together until it's combined. And next we're going to make our sauce. So now that our main ingredients are all mixed together, we're going to get going on our sauce. The base of our sauce today is going to be Greek yogurt, but you could also use a light sour cream as well. So we're using a 7-ounce container of Greek yogurt, and just be aware that some brands have this piece of wax paper in it that you're going to need to remove. And because I don't like doing dishes, I'm just going to make our sauce in this container to make it a little bit easier. So we have our 7 ounces of Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is great because it's really high in protein. This one container has 20 grams of protein. Greek yogurt strains, so everything is more condensed. So we have our 1 container of Greek yogurt. We're going to add in 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. It's going to add a little bit of tanginess to our dish. So we'll just measure out about a tablespoon here. And we'll put it in. We're going. Next, we're going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. This is sweet paprika. There's a lot of different kinds of paprika. We want to use the sweet one for this dish, but you could also use the hot one if that's something that you like, or you could use the smoky paprika. It'd add a little bit of a smoky flair to the dish. And now we're going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We only want to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt here because if we think back, we're using cooked chicken, which might have had a little bit of salt during processing. We're also using some other salty ingredients like our cheddar cheese, Parmesan cheese later, which adds quite a bit of extra salt. So we're putting in 1/4 teaspoon of our salt. And now we're going to put in 1/2 teaspoon of our black pepper. Can't cook without some salt and pepper, right? And now we're just going to stir our sauce together. And it actually tastes really good. I usually take a little taste once I'm finished. Oh, one other thing. I have ground mustard at home, or with the mustard seeds, and that's really pretty as well. I don't usually keep Dijon mustard in my pantry, so that works great. Just know that yellow mustard is going to add a different flavor compared to the Dijon mustard. This would also be a good place to add a couple dashes of hot sauce if that's something like you like. And now we're going to add all of our sauce into our mixture. In it goes. And we're going to give it a good mix. Mix this all together. And just note that it's going to be pretty thick because, like I mentioned before, the cheese is going to melt and the mushrooms are going to release a little bit of moisture to add into our sauce. So just give this a good stir until everything is combined, and then we have one more secret ingredient we're going to add to this to make it a crunchy turkey casserole. Now that that's all mixed together, we're ready to add crunch number 1 to our dish. There's going to be 2 crunches. The first one is going to be our sliced water chestnuts. And I never used water chestnuts before. They're actually a vegetable that is grown underwater, and they stay crispy, kind of like the crispiness of an apple, even after they're cooked because of an antioxidant component in them, which is super neat. It's going to add a great crunch to our dish. We're using an entire can. This is an 8-ounce can, and you want to make sure that you drain it first. We're just going to put the whole thing in, and these are already sliced for us, and these are sold either in the vegetable section, or some grocery stores have them with the other Asian foods, and I found this one at Sprouts on the very bottom shelf in the Asian section, so keep a lookout. This was another brand, what they look like. So it's going to add some delicious crunch to our dish. We're just going to stir those in. If you wanted your dish to be extra crunchy, you could totally add another can of the sliced water chestnuts. Just make sure you drain them first, of course. They're really low in calories, but they're going to add an excellent crunch. All right, that's all mixed together, and now we're going to be doing crunch number 2. This is going to be our crunchy topping. It's actually my favorite part. Super delicious. We're going to be using panko breadcrumbs. Panko breadcrumbs are just very similar to normal breadcrumbs, but they have a bigger crumb, which is going to make it extra crunchy, which we are totally going for this crunchy turkey casserole. We're going to do 1/3 cup of the breadcrumbs. If you don't have panko breadcrumbs, you could use regular breadcrumbs, or you could crush up some crackers. We're just looking to add some crunch for our topping. So we have 1/3 cup of our breadcrumbs. We're going to add 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese. And so that cheese is going to melt into the breadcrumbs and add extra deliciousness. And remember I said before how we're going to have extra salt added. Parmesan cheese is pretty salty, so we don't need to add any extra salt to this topping. Just the Parmesan cheese is going to be enough. It's going to get all melty and delicious and brown. So we're adding in 1/3 of a cup there. And now, just as an insurance policy, we're adding some olive oil to the mixture. It's going to help the breadcrumbs and the Parmesan cheese stick together. And it's also going to help with browning when we bake our dish. So we're just going to mix this together to make a delicious topping. And when we come back, we're going to put all of these things together. We're almost there. Now that everything is all prepped, we can get our pan ready to go. So I'm going to be using an 8x8 baking dish, but you can use any kind of casserole dish that you enjoy using. If you have a special one that you like to use for the holidays, go ahead and use that as long as everything will fit. And so I don't have any cooking spray today, so what I did is I just put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan, and I'm just going to kind of move it around with a paper towel. We just want a light coating of oil. We don't want a whole bunch. It's just so that our casserole doesn't stick. So that looks good. And now we're going to put everything together. So we've got our baking dish that has been greased, and I'm going to pour in all of our mixture. Look at the color from the peas, and that cheese is going to melt and add a lot of great texture and flavor. Everything's going in. So I know it looks, some of it wants to leave the dish. I know it looks like a lot of food, but we're just going to kind of push it in so that everything fits. This is gonna feed about 6 people. So it's a great dish that you can make if you're having a small gathering for the holidays, and the leftovers work out really great as well. So we're just gonna kind of push that down. I see the mushrooms and all that crunchy deliciousness from the chestnuts, water chestnuts. Look at that. Make sure you get it in the corners. Get this little piece that tried to escape us. And now we're gonna put our topping on. So our topping was just the panko breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese, and a little bit of olive oil to help with browning. So we're just gonna evenly sprinkle this topping on. And make sure you preheat your oven to 350 degrees. This is gonna bake for about 30 minutes. If you like a crispier crust, you can certainly bake it a little bit longer. Okay, so that looks nice and even. So now we're gonna put this into the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. And a little bit of movie magic. This is what it looks like when it's all completed. Doesn't it look lovely? We've got that nice brown topping, nice and crunchy turkey casserole. I'm going to serve up a little bit and we'll be right back. Our crunchy turkey casserole looks delicious and it smells great too. When I was cutting this into 6 portions, I could hear the crunch from the water chestnuts as I was going through and that crispy, delicious topping. I've served up a nice healthy portion for me. This is 1/6 of the recipe. I can see all of those delicious components. I think I'll take a taste. Make sure to get some peas in there. Really good. I'm so glad that you could join me for this episode of Cooking with Kayla to make some crunchy turkey casserole. Hope you have a wonderful holiday season and a happy Thanksgiving. And remember, be gentle with yourself. See you next time.